Welcome to the Vegas Hockey Hub here on PR Connections Radio in the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And, the hockey world, there's a lot to go over, a lot to discuss. But one aspect that we really need to dial in here on Vegas Hockey Hub is the future. We've gone over the prospect watch. We've talked about UNLV Rebels hockey. We have gone over the Henderson Silver Knights and a bunch of prospects down in the AHL and ECHL. But one guy we really need to go over is one of the best players coming through the juniors. Now, Connor Bedard, he is incredible. People have been saying he is one of the best prospects coming into the NHL that they have seen since Connor McDavid. He has been considered a top-notch, exceptional player heading into the NHL. I also want to point out that Connor Bedard, he is a player that no matter what happens, no matter what team goes number one overall, he is going to be their pick. Now, we will show what the draft order is going to be later in the show. We will go over what the NHL draft could become. There's actually a website that you can actually do a simulation on the draft lottery and see if your NHL team gets Connor Bedard. But until then, we are actually going to go over who is Connor Bedard, and then we will get into which specific division team will get him. Because not many people are going to realize this, but yes, this is Vegas Hockey Hub. We talk about the Vegas Golden Knights, but one aspect we really need to go over is the teams in the division that the Vegas Golden Knights play against. Because look, Vegas, you go up against Anaheim, you go up against Calgary, you go up against LA, go up against San Jose, go up against Seattle. There are so many teams in Pacific that Vegas goes up against. So, getting into it, who is Connor Bedard? Because some people are not going to know who he is. If you are a casual hockey fan, if you're a casual sports fan, you might not know who he is. So to just give you a brief explanation, a brief introduction into who he is, he plays in the Western Hockey League. He plays for the Pats. And in 2020, 2021, in 15 games played, he had 12 goals for 28 points. Now, that might not seem like much, but for a brand new year, for a guy who's not even 16 years old, to be putting up numbers like that is exceptional. The following year, he has his breakout year. He has a year that puts him on that map for anybody who really wasn't a diehard hockey fan. In 2021, 2022, he played a full 62 games, had 51 goals and 100 points. He essentially scored a goal 3 out of every 4 games. To put it nicely, 3 out of every 4 games, he scored a goal for the Pats. And then this season, in just 22 games, he has scored 19 goals for 48 points. So Connor Bedard, in his junior career, has done exceptional work. As a matter of fact, he was named exceptional status by the WHL in 2020. The first player in history from the Western Hockey League to be given exceptional status. There's no question why he was drafted first overall in the WHL draft in 2020. Heck, there was even an article from the Hockey News back in 2018 when he was 14 years old that he was the future of hockey. He also led the league in goals, the league in points. He was named most valuable player. He has really lived up to the name of being the future of hockey back in 2018. There's also the same Connor Bedard that was loaned over to Sweden to play for Sweden in 2020. And actually, back in that 2020 season, he only played 5 games for them, but had 6 points in 5 games playing over in Sweden. I also wanna bring up one final point, because with the WHL, he actually won the WHL Rookie of the Year on that so-called season right down below. He won WHL Rookie of the Year. That's how good he was as a WHL player. And he's also the only player in the 21st century to hit 100 points as a 16-year-old in the WHL. And the New York Times also gave Connor Bedard the label as the most exciting future NHL player. So he has a lot of and I mean high expectations heading into the NHL. But that's in the WHL. That's in the Western Hockey League. What about his international? How did he do for Team Canada? How did he do for his country? Well, not only did Connor Bedard win the gold medal for Canada in the under 18 team and the World Junior Championship, but he also put up exceptional numbers for Team Canada in his 3 attempts being with the team. Being with Team Canada, he I mean, this is incredible. He also won a gold medal back in 2021 being with Team Canada. He had 14 points in 7 games, pretty much averaging 2 points a game when they won the gold medal in 2021. 2022, he goes to the World Junior Championship, the under 20 team for Canada, and has 8 points in 7 games. Once again, averaging averaging a point per game. But what about his record? Is there any records that Connor Bedard has broken in his young career? Not only did he break one record, he has broken 4 records. The first record that he broke was Wayne Gretzky's 44-year-old record for the most goals scored by a 16-year-old in the World Junior Ice Hockey Championship. All right, he scored 4 goals in a single game against Team Austria. That's the record that he broke. He also tied the record in Team Canada for the most goals in a World Junior game. So that's 2. He also broke a record for the most goal scoring from Team Canada at the Under 18 Championship. The guy who formerly held that record is current Seattle Kraken Shane Wright. He also broke Matt Barzal's Team Canada's record for most points in a World Junior Championship in a single game. So not only has he broken all these records and done all these amazing accomplishments, he has backed it up by winning gold medals in 2021 and in 2022. So Connor Bedard is a team player. He is someone that could be a revolutionary player in the NHL. He is what Connor McDavid was back in 2015. He is like Eric Lindros out in 1992. There is so many times that an athlete has star-studded potential written all over him. Sidney Crosby back in 2005, just for example. But who is in the running to get? Who are the teams that are in the eligibility to go out and get Connor Bedard? Well, the people that are in the running is right there on your screen. The current draft order for the 2023 NHL draft. Now, Anaheim Ducks being at 1 is a good point because we did an episode on Vegas Hockey Hub about what's wrong with the Anaheim Ducks a while ago. And we were talking about the Anaheim Ducks and going over what's wrong with them, I brought up that the future is bright in Anaheim. I discussed how the Anaheim Ducks are not focused on 2022. The Anaheim Ducks are focused on 2025. Could Connor Bedard be part of that 2025 mindset? Because there's no secret that the Anaheim Ducks have the worst record in the NHL, 5-14, 11 points so far this season. They also have the worst PBG out of any team in the NHL. And when it comes to regulation wins, they have 0. So not only have they lost 7 of their last 10, but they have the odds-on favorite of winning the draft lottery. So when you're focusing on the Anaheim Ducks, they have the number 1 overall pick. They should be a shoo-in for getting Connor Bedard, but not so quick. For anybody who has watched the draft lottery over the last couple of years, having the number 1 odds has actually not been a great thing. As a matter of fact, having the NHL draft lottery has kind of neutralized the number 1 odds to getting the number 1 pick. Because dating back to the last 5 years, excluding the 1 year where there were certain people put into a lottery ball to get the number 1 overall pick. Outside of that, the last 5 years, only one, and I mean only one team with the highest odds-on favorite to land the number 1 overall pick has received the so-called number 1. And to me, it's actually quite incredible that when you analyze and you actually see who are the odds-on favorites to get the number 1 overall pick, it ends up backfiring on teams in a certain way. I will give you an example of this. There is one team that had the number 1 overall pick locked up. They were supposed to get that number 1 overall pick. That was the Ottawa Senators. Back in 2019, the Ottawa Senators were supposed to get the number 1 pick. They had an 18% chance, just like the Anaheim Ducks do. What ended up happening is they fell to the 4th overall pick, and that pick eventually went over to the Colorado Avalanche thanks to the Matt Duchene deal. That pick just so happened to be Bowen Byram, who is one of a vital part of the defense for the Colorado Avalanche. So that was a situation where the team that had the number 1 pick in terms of odds did not get it, and they fell to number 4. Another example of this would have been 2017 when the Colorado Avalanche had the number 1 pick in terms of odds. They fell to number 4, and they drafted the best player in the draft in Cale Makar. So 2017 and 2019 are just 2 examples of teams having the number 1 odds in terms of the lottery, and it doesn't pan out for them. So as we are talking about the NHL draft, we are talking about what is going on with Connor Bedard, which teams can go out and get him in the upcoming NHL draft. You see Anaheim at 1. We're going to skip Ottawa at 2 because the Ottawa Senators are not a Pacific Division team. Ottawa, except for Vegas beating them tonight, they do not affect the Vegas Golden Knights. Anaheim does, Vancouver does, San Jose does, and Arizona. 4 of the 5 teams that have the top 5 lottery odds affect Vegas in one way or another. So Vancouver. Now, Vancouver, we made an episode on the Vegas Hockey Hub talking about them trading their captain in Bo Horvat. There has been discussion about the Vancouver Canucks tanking for this man, Connor Bedard. And right now, the Vancouver Canucks, 6 wins, 13 losses, 15 points on the year. I mean, this is a team that's lost 6 of their last 10, has 11% chance of getting Connor Bedard. So, can the Vancouver Canucks get the boy from Vancouver, British Columbia? Could the hometown favorite go to Vancouver? Because if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, you would love to get a guy like this. If you're Vancouver, he has been in your backyard since he was a hometown boy. This is a guy who loves the Vancouver Canucks. He's even mentioned it before, that the Vancouver Canucks is his hometown team. So Vancouver would be an interesting development considering the hometown factor. Considering the amount of talent Connor Bedard would have, could you imagine him and Quinn Hughes being on the same defensive pairing? Could you imagine the Anaheim Ducks? They have Jamie Drysdale, but Vancouver Canucks having a solidified top 10 defenseman already in Quinn Hughes. If they went out and got Connor Bedard, if they managed to jump up from 3 to 1 and they ended up getting Connor Bedard, that would be an exceptional, and I mean really exceptional pick for them to get a hometown boy who is from Vancouver, British Columbia. But, if Vancouver doesn't work out, if Anaheim doesn't work out, well, how about San Jose right now? How about the San Jose Sharks at the number 4 slot currently? Because the San Jose Sharks really do not have much to play for right now. As a matter of fact, the San Jose Sharks, 7-14 on the year, 17 points. They have lost 6 of their last 10. They have a 9% chance of getting Connor Bedard. Now, here is a part that I actually want to bring up because it's valuable. Going back to that 2017 and 2019 NHL draft that I did mention earlier, what pick jumped up to number 1? Who was the position that they jumped up to get the number 1 overall pick? It just so happened to be the 4th overall selection. And yes, I know that the New Jersey Devils did it both times. I am well aware that New Jersey is not in this equation. They jumped up both times to get that number 1 pick. But if you take San Jose, if San Jose stays where they are, they could be in a sweet spot where they jump up to the number 1 pick in the lottery. Just like Vancouver, they are in a good spot to jump up to the number 1 pick. Because with said draft lottery, you have the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th pick, and those have good odds of potentially jumping up a few spots and getting to the NHL number 1 overall pick. Because it's no secret that these NHL teams are going to want to get Connor Bedard. Because according to his draft report, according to his draft profile, which I will put on the board right here, this is a guy who, according to scouts, his release is lightning quick, pinpoint accuracy, little delays, and stutters are very little. He uses separation to get to his spot. I mean, Connor Bedard could be a future asset for all of these teams out in the NHL. Because like I mentioned, the Anaheim Ducks, they have a future in Jamie Drysdale. You have Trevor Zegras, you got Troy Terry. Getting Connor Bedard would solidify your starting lineup. The Vancouver Canucks, you have Quinn Hughes on defense, but you don't really have a lot on terms of offense. Connor Bedard could fix that situation. San Jose Sharks, you have Logan Couture, Tomas Harrell, Timo Meyer, but you don't have a lot of young talent currently, not now, but currently, the San Jose Sharks do not have much. But what about good old Arizona? We're going to pass over them real quick. How about the Arizona Coyotes being the 5th overall pick? How about Arizona potentially getting a superstar in Connor Bedard? Now, them playing in a college hockey arena is laughable. The potential of them moving to Houston is notable. But one aspect of Arizona that most people are not going to analyze is that in terms of proximity, Arizona is closest to Vegas. So despite playing in a completely different division than Vegas, them being close in proximity means that the Vegas Golden Knights and Arizona Coyotes will face off a couple of times a year. The Arizona Coyotes and Vegas Golden Knights, you will see each other. You'll cross paths a couple of times. So for the Connor Bedard, the 17-year-old phenom, what could end up happening? Well, as a matter of fact, here on Vegas Hockey Hub, I simulated the draft lottery. And I wanted to see who ends up getting the number one pick in the draft lottery. Who ends up getting that number one overall pick? And what happens to the rest of the draft order in that situation? Well, here's what ended up happening. What ended up happening is when I did my simulation for the 2023 NHL Draft Lottery, one interesting thing popped up. So, the NHL Draft Lottery, the San Jose Sharks jumped up to the number one pick, which to me is incredible. The San Jose Sharks moving up to number one, that would be an exceptional move if they could end up doing that. Ottawa would stay at two. The Anaheim Ducks, the odds-on favorite, they would drop two spots. They would have the third pick. The Columbus Blue Jackets would go to four. The Vancouver Canucks would go to five. And then at that point, Chicago, Washington, Arizona goes to eight. Buffalo goes to nine. And then Philadelphia rounds out the top 10. So when you simulate the draft lottery, it's actually incredible how the Arizona Coyotes drop, the Columbus Blue Jackets move up, and the San Jose Sharks move up. Because the one part that I am not going to exclude is that the San Jose Sharks managed to move up 3 spots to get Connor Bedard. He would become the instant future of the NHL. He would become a future asset out there in San Francisco, out in Oakland, out in San Jose, out in Frisco, out in all these places in California. He would become a staple of hockey. Just like Tinu Solani out in Anaheim, just like Wayne Gretzky out in LA, the San Jose Sharks would have their superstar. San Jose would have their team there. Now, when it comes to Connor Bedard, there is one more part that I have to bring up. If he gets drafted number one overall, if he managed to go number one by whoever takes him, would he start right away? Would Connor Bedard play in the NHL right away? Or would he end up playing in juniors? Or would he play in the minors for a little bit before going to the NHL? Well, basing off of the past NHL draft, I will say no. He will start right away in the NHL. He will not have to be in the minors to start his career. The reason why we know this is dating back to past experience. Owen Power, when he got drafted in 2021, he finished his college career at University of Michigan and then immediately played for the Buffalo Sabres in 2021. He did not have to play in the minors. He did not have to play for long. He finished his college career and then he went on to the NHL. How about Alexis Lafreniere? Well, he was a guy who was with the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and he went immediately to the NHL. He did not have to wait. There was no stop and go. He immediately went to the NHL. Just using prior examples here. 2019, how about Jack Hughes? Well, he got slammed for his disappointing year one with the New Jersey Devils. But the moral of the story is that he went from being part of Team USA to immediately being with the New Jersey Devils. As a matter of fact, 9 of the last 10 number one overall pick went immediately to the NHL from being drafted number one. Because the problem with going number one overall is that they do not see you as a project. If you go number one, they are not expecting you to be in the minors. They're not expecting you to start out sluggish. No, you get drafted number one overall. You are considered a day one asset in the NHL. And that's how they're going to treat you as a number one asset in your organization. For anybody who's wondering, by the way, who was the one player that did not start out? Who was the one player that ended up not being right away and actually had to take some time to eventually develop? Well, that actually ended up being, well, actually a guy that really did not develop, unfortunately, and that was someone as of Nail Yakupov. It's actually interesting, by the way, how that draft, he did not go right away. In fact, he actually played in the KHL for 22 games before going to the NHL. He did not immediately go to the Edmonton Oilers, and he was drafted first overall. Now, we have about 4 minutes left here on Vegas Hockey Hub with your host, Ian Rachiele. And I want to point out, by the way, all the fantastic content that is on PR Connections Radio. I want to talk about Cozy Stone. She put out an incredible show, and I highly recommend watching that. We also have Brian Gardner with We Got the Power. So if you're into politics, if you're into that political spectrum, I highly recommend listening to Brian Gardner, watching his content. What he does on PR Connections Radio is phenomenal. I highly recommend checking out his content on PR Connections. We also have on PR Connections, we have a show that honestly I look at and go, you know what? This is a really good show, and that would be The Love of Business. So um, when it comes to the love of business, I like what Edgar and I like what Brandon were doing on that recent episode. So shout out to the love of business, Cozy Stone, Brian Gardner from We Got the Power. There is a lot of fantastic content on PR Connections Radio. So don't just check out my shows, go watch them as well. And also on Friday night, we have a show called The Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. Their host is very knowledgeable about the world of football. He brings on knowledgeable guests every Friday night to break down the picks of the NFL world. They're going to be doing a NFL mock draft on their upcoming show. So I highly recommend checking out the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio because their host is very knowledgeable and one of the best hosts you can watch. So go check out Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. And lastly, shout out to Guy Dawson, the founder and creator of PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. If it wasn't for Guy Dawson, this show and pretty much almost all the shows that are on this network would not be here. So, I want to give my props to Guy Dawson and appreciate you having me on. And for all the people that are watching the hockey world, the Las Vegas Thunderbird, the junior hockey team here in Las Vegas, they're playing hockey right now. So, like I say, towards the end of all of our shows, go support junior hockey. It's very important to watch junior hockey and give them all the support they can because let's just face it, folks, junior hockey does not get the love it deserves. And I honestly believe it should get more. And since we have 15 seconds left, UNLV Rebels hockey. UNLV Rebels hockey, they have an upcoming game against Grand Canyon University. They'll be playing in Arizona. So if you are able to listen or watch, December 3rd, December 4th, they'll be taking on Grand Canyon. Then they'll be coming home December 8th at City National Arena in downtown Summerlin against San Diego State Aztecs. So go support UNLV Rebels hockey. It is a fun watch, and they put up incredible hockey. So until then, this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Continue watching hockey, support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.